Hello, puppies and kittens. I'm talking today with Benjamin and Tina. You guys are co-directors, the Atheist Support Network. What does that mean?
Well, just that. So we're the network for basically, supporting people who are at risk, and we can get into that more. But in general, atheists who are primarily ex-Muslim in the Middle East countries, Africa, places where your life can be at risk just by being an atheist, and even more at risk if you're a more outward atheist. So helping in that way. We also do some help with some people who need money for rent or food or something like that because of safety issues or various things. So support network for atheists.
Okay. I would like you to expand on what that means and the reason where I'm coming from on this. I mean, I used to be president of Atheist Alliance of America, and I was frequently getting calls from people in strange situations in the Middle East, typically, and they would be, I don't know what misconception they had about what power I could wield as president of this organization, but in one case, to give you an idea how severe it was, the guy had fled his home country, had gotten into another country, and managed to get a communication to me expecting me to send a helicopter to get him.
I think we have a lot of people that think we will just fly in and pull them out, which is not possible, and it's really not even legal.
Yeah, I would think that even if there was an official government agency, that would not. You still can't just fly your stuff into other people's countries and fly them out.
Right.
But still, I understand that people get into desperate situations and all of that, and it broke my heart to listen to all these people in moments of desperation, pleading for some kind of help to get out of their situation. There was nothing I could do except to refer them to someone else. And I didn't know who to refer them to. Are you those people?
We are now. So just to give you a little bit of background, so it has been generally the president of AI who has handled this kind of help. And we expanded this in 2019. It was now, I think, April or a little bit earlier than that. We had another director at that time. I was the co-director at that time, and Ben joined us as a volunteer. And we started building the program. So that meant we started building some policies, some screening tools, and since then we now have volunteers we have kind of a core volunteer, so like 5 people who some of them speak several languages, so we all come together. So we've kind of come a little ways since you were there. So in that process, we do have screening. So that's the first thing that people do is when they contact us is we ask for more information. And that includes identification, including photo ID, government ID type stuff. And then we need to know 2 primary things. Are they indeed atheists, and are they at risk? And from there, after we've went through the whole screening process, then we start building rapport with them. If they need somebody who speaks their language, Arabic or Bengali or something, we have one of our volunteers build that rapport. And depending on what their needs are, if there's somebody that is help me, I need out, then we go to square one. It's no, we can't just come and get you, but we can work on a plan. So first of all, are you safe? And if you're not safe, then let's see where you can go to be safe. Do you have a friend? Do you have, is there some place where you can go to be safe? And then we build on this plan. And we always have them, I like to calling them clients. I'm also a counselor, so I refer to people as clients. Have them be part of it. I mean, it's them, it's their life. So they let us know what they would like to do or what's possible, and we give suggestions, we give resources. And
can I ask what the resources are?
Some of the resources, well, they're like websites, other organizations, kind of going for a loss. If you can think of something too, Ben, to add.
Yeah, resources. I haven't been very successful, but I have been trying to find people who are willing to host Atheists in Danger. Typically the people in danger aren't in the countries that somebody is willing to host them in. But we have to have, if anyone would like to do that and is in a country that's safe but not too expensive and easy to get to, that's would be very helpful. Another thing we're doing, I'm trying to help some of the UN registered refugees who have come to us get privately sponsored for resettlement in Canada. That takes, for an individual, about $10,000. For a family of four, $20,000 US, exchange rates depending. And then 5 Canadian citizens need to sponsor them. If any of the viewers in Canada would like to do that, please get in touch with us. That would be wonderful. Otherwise, hi, Princess.
Princess butts in the way.
Otherwise, sorry about that.
Yeah, give us an idea of what maybe somebody watching this doesn't understand why there would be somebody who has to be specifically atheist in some country that needs to get out. Give me an idea of some of the countries that you would get contact from and why it's such an issue.
Well, Somalia, Saudi Arabia, and Iran, as well as a few other countries, have it in their laws that if someone leaves Islam, the penalty is death. And then on top of that, I don't know so much in Saudi Arabia and Iran, but in Somalia for sure, it doesn't actually matter if the law says that. People will just go ahead and kill you anyway.
It's like that. Some places it's the law and government, so a sentence could be death, like, for example, Saudi Arabia. However, in Somalia, I think it's more like mob killing type thing. So a lot, it kind of depends. Even like in Indonesia or someplace like that, it can be more mob related rather than government related. So it depends on the country.
Yeah, I was in Qatar recently. I'm just in the airport, which is, the size of a small town. And people had told me that if I were to get out of the airport, to go out and see the city or whatever, if I were recognized, then I would be in trouble. So I don't know how Qatar is on that list. I talked to somebody that was in Kenya, and I thought, well, you're safe in Kenya, aren't you? And he said, no, he's from Somalia, and he's in a refugee camp where there are other Somalians.
Yep.
And that he was still being like hunted and brutalized by Somalians in Kenya.
Yeah.
That's actually, I know what you're talking about, and that's one of our people that we have been helping. Actually started helping a couple of years ago, and we've been able to help some more, and he actually helps us too.
Okay, are we talking about the same guy?
We are.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, he's the one who recorded that video for you. And incidentally, he is UN registered. If any Canadians would like to sponsor him.
Right. We are looking for sponsors for him. Yep.
Yeah, his was a desperate story because, again, what can I do except try to find the agencies that specialize in this. So I'm glad that you guys exist now, so that we have an agency to point to of people who do that. Yeah. How many cats do you have?
How many do I have, or how many do my roommates have? I have 2. I don't actually know how many my roommates have. It's that many.
I'm just watching them parade in front of the webcam. I can't be judgmental. My dog is currently barking, and my parrot is calling my name, and I have to keep going on mute. But
I have my door shut. Otherwise, my cats would be in here and doing the same thing. So
gotcha. Well, this is the age we live in.
Yeah, that's cool. Hey, people like seeing what's going on in somebody else's life and their pets.
So thank you. Let me get an update on that. The guy that was from Somalia and then in Kenya, is he safe now? I mean.
He needs to be really careful. And of course, that's why we're not mentioning his name or anything. And in helping us, he kind of puts himself at risk just going into some of the places that he goes. But he's also really smart and knows how to stay away. And he's moving all the time, which is really sad, but he's always on the move and going to school. and he's really smart, going to school in finance and business, and just So he would be a great one to get to Canada, because he can return to society. He can, help. I'm kind of at a loss for words. Sorry. He would benefit society. He's not somebody who would just be a burden on their system. He would give back. So.
Okay, now I believe that there are 7 countries where being an atheist is, if not a death sentence, it's at least considered a crime in some respects.
13.
Right? 13.
13. Sudan was on that list. Now it's not. And a couple months after they legalized apostasy, which caused massive riots in the streets, by the way. Brunei put in an apostasy law.
Decriminalizing apostasy caused riots in the street.
Yeah.
Wow.
Isn't that sad? Yeah. So it's, again, that mob type thing, the people. I talked to somebody, one of our volunteers, who is from Indonesia, no longer there, but there the government is more okay with secular to some extent. However, the people are not. The people keep pushing for harder and harder, and a lot of people want Sharia law, and so it's not always the government. Sometimes it's the people, their religion. They indoctrinated, and they think they need to have everybody be their religion. You get out. And
it's been getting a lot worse. Just he's younger than me, and I'm 31. But just within his life, he's noticed it getting worse, largely because of Saudi money being used to push Wahhabism or Salafism, whichever your preferred term is.
Mm-hmm.
And it's to the point, and it's essentially Arab imperialism, except a little more subtle, because they can't really go in with guns. But it's gotten to the point that to say dude, the equivalent of dude, a lot of Indonesians will say Ikhwan, which is Arabic for brother. And he finds it really pretentious and annoying.
Mm-hmm.
So when somebody is in a situation like this, if they're in Qatar or Oman or Somalia, and I thought Somalia had changed. I thought Somalia was the one that decriminalized, and when I heard that news, I'm like, yeah, right. Let's see how the populace handles that. But because I just figured that they were going to be neighbors killing each other over disbelief. If you have somebody who's in one of these countries and is, I understand that there's a lot of them that are closeted, and they're just going about their lives and like doing the prayers and everything and just not believing it. But a lot of them can't put up the game anymore and have to find some way out. What exactly does somebody in the situation do? And then what are their expectations, being realistic?
Well, we have one person that fits that perfectly. This person was trying to go along with the prayers and everything, and it wasn't working, and she finally panicked and left, and we are helping her, and we've helped. I can't say anything about where she's from or anything because it would put her at risk, but we've helped her to get over one border, and now she's waiting there, and we have a great place on the same continent that she's going to go, and there's potential of jobs and everything else for her, and she's going to register with UNHCR. But it's taking time. But yeah, she had it. She just couldn't tolerate it anymore. And when she started making plans, she was afraid that she would get caught. So she panicked and she got out. And we're helping her. Yeah. So we've been working with her since about August.
I found it remarkable when I went to Dubai once upon a time in 2016. And I happened to find myself in a death metal concert in Dubai, of all places. And I thought this was weird because at the same week that I'm doing that, there was in Iran, which is just across the water, they were executing a metal band for playing metal.
Oh, gosh.
And here I am in the more progressive Sharia country listening to a Scandinavian death metal band. But the funny thing is, I'm sitting at a table, I'm having drinks with these Arabic women. They're local. They're wearing jeans, they've got makeup, their hair done, everything. They say that when they live in Dubai, they can come into places where Westerners frequent, they can pass as Westerners.
Mhm.
And they said that this is the great advantage of being there as opposed to being in Saudi, where there's just nowhere to go, where you're going to be repressed all the time. And these girls are aware that they could be found out. And Westerners in Dubai can go about where they will. But if you're Arabic, you have to be Islam.
Mhm.
You know, there's a double standard. And there's a lot of people, I'm saying this for the benefit of people in the United States, have no idea that there are racist legal systems like that. So these girls are quite at risk. Should they get found out, they would be at least arrested. But I can't imagine what it would be like to be living under such oppression that you would take a risk like this just to be, just to express yourself publicly, however you can. So
and I've met a surprising number of people who can pass as Americans without ever having been to the U.S. because they literally prefer speaking English to speaking their native language. Saudi is the main case in point there. And he even got so disconnected from his culture that he had a bad reaction when I just told him that I had dates for breakfast because that's an Arab thing.
Yeah, English will carry you a long way. I remember being in Dubai, of course, like everybody speaks English. It's there's not even a detectable accent, I don't think.
Yeah.
It's much like in the Netherlands. It seems like everybody speaks English and they don't have an accent. Why? Because they watch American TV.
Yeah.
Right.
Friends is a big one. A lot of people watch Friends. Learn English. I know.
That sounds well. Maybe if you're talking about Europe, but if we shift back to the places we were talking about, I'm sure they wouldn't be watching Friends in Dubai.
Oh, I wouldn't be surprised if they were.
Okay, well, I don't know. I was only there for a week.
They're also very good at watching things the government doesn't want them to watch.
Okay. Yeah.
I think it's a rule of the universe. If the government bans porn, everyone knows how to get around any possible censorship.
I heard the most lascivious stories about what Arabs do within a mile of the Kaaba, with alcohol and wild parties and everything that they're never supposed to be doing, but they do it. The amount of debauchery that is possible, even in a really repressive situation like this, to hear the locals talk about it.
Yeah.
Of course, I would never anywhere near there. Had nothing to do with me.
Yeah. Well, hey, 15% of Saudis are atheists, according to one poll.
Well, I know that there's a growing number, and I've run into a few. Strangely, I met one who famously was at the Kaaba and held up a sign to take a selfie picture with holding up the sign that says "I am an atheist," handwritten, stuffed in her pocket. Pull it up.
Yeah.
Just to see that in the background. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, you met her. I think I know who you're talking about.
Yep. Yeah, it's a seemingly small world in this conversation. Yeah. So once again, realistic expectations. I was frustrated on the people that I met from Bangladesh or from Saudi when they get into some place like Germany, and then they're in what is effectively like a refugee camp.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they're mixed in with everybody else. So if you're mixed in with everybody else from who is Muslim, I'm surprised that in this case, the German government didn't realize that you shouldn't be putting the apostates and the believers in the same camp.
Yeah. And the LGBT people.
Right. Yeah. This is really a problem because I think it even becomes worse when they're in a concentrated area. They don't have the privacy, and people find out, and then they're beaten up and everything else, and they're supposed to be protected by UNHCR, but they're slipping through the cracks. And oftentimes the Muslims are the ones that get through process, especially like in Turkey, for example. We have several people who are registered with UNHCR, and they're stuck where Muslims are able to get through because in these places the offices are staffed by Muslim, and they're discriminating against the atheists. And then when we do have, such as like what you just now explained with Germany, that's a really good example. We do have people that we've had who are actually who now have asylum, so they're out, but several of them, it was miserable because they were in really tight quarters with Muslim people, and they were either being harassed or beaten or afraid or just couldn't be themselves. Again, going back to that.
But this is a God of loving forgiveness and a religion of peace.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, and not only that, but I have a friend who is an atheist and used to work for the UNHCR, and he said that, well, first of all, he can't get his job back. He also went to Turkey to try to start a new life there, but his business didn't last. And he can't get his job back because now they're only hiring nepotistically because it's all Jordanians in charge now. And he also said, yeah, there's definitely discrimination against atheists, against LGBT people, against non-Muslims, which is actually the good thing about the private sponsorship in Canada. We can get around that a little more easily if someone's privately sponsoring.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna give you like another minute for closing comments, and I've already put the link down for the website for the organization. If you need me to put any other links down, email those to me, and I'll include those.
Yeah, it would be really helpful if people can contribute. We do have, if you go, I don't know if you have the link for the donations for ASN, but if you go to Atheist Alliance International website, there's a thing that says Atheist Support Network. Scroll on down, or you can read the information there, and then scroll on down. There's a donation button. That is it is so helpful to have funding to help people, because for some people we can just do a support letter, but most people it takes money. And our money, we also have a transparency page where people can see where our money is being spent. So donors, if we do a fundraiser or something, they can see how our money's being spent there. And I think that makes people feel reassured that their money is being used in a good way to help people. So yeah, really great.
Yeah. And I've gotten to the point where I'm contributing all the money from job number 3 to refugees, well, actually mostly just one refugee who fled to Korea of all places.
Okay.
People end up going weird places when their passport only lets them go visa free to certain countries.
Yeah.
So.
All right. I was impressed. I had somebody working with me who was a refugee from Iran, and I loved his story. He was in the Iranian military, and his helicopter was just taking off, and he jumped out. And there's a grove of trees, so he jumps out where he's already got cover as soon as he hits the ground. And the helicopter had just taken off. He jumps out, and then he has to sneak across the Turkish border, somehow getting into Turkey, like in disguises and like sneaking about the whole way. And it was a bizarre story. And then he finally ends up in Texas working with me.
Oh wow.
So, I mean, there's a weird little success story, but it took him like a year and a half of struggle to get here. I know. Yeah. Thank you very much, and I guess we'll close it up. Say goodnight.
Okay, thank you for having us on your show too. Really,
whatever we call this.